Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the free range human show choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards, coming at you live here on a FAFO Friday on 103.9 WYAB, or as we like to call it, the 50,000 megawatt flame thrower. Right here in central Mississippi. We're streaming worldwide and live over on the Mazda of Jackson, Mississippi. The Mazda Jackson live stream. As you can tell, I got some sleep. Not necessarily all of it at one time, but it took me a big old almost 4-hour nap yesterday when I got home on the advice of my buddy sitting across from me here, Mr. Creston Berch. I got a plan for you. Go home, get you a nap. And get up and you'll feel way better. Man, did I ever. I felt like a normal human being yesterday afternoon for the first time in a long time. And then last night I actually dozed off again at my computer. You know, Creston, I don't know what it is, man. It dawned on me last night when I'm my most creative, like when I want to get the most done online. It's right when I'm ready to go to sleep is what I've been telling myself. That's not what it is. It's after I work out.
Yeah. Get that endorphin rush.
Yeah, so it's after I work out. So what I figured is, all right, I'm going to try this. Let me pull these down just a little bit. I'm going to try working out after lunch, maybe around 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, somewhere in there. Because I'm at home anyway.
Right.
And then work out after that. And then just move my productivity stuff, my online working, my show prep and all that to the late afternoon, early evening.
Yeah.
And then I got the whole evening to myself. I ain't got to worry about anything. And instead of that donut hole in the middle of the day there,
yeah,
where I'm just drained mentally and just kind of like completely checked out.
And then if something comes up, you ain't got to rush to get it done. You just kind of add it in there if necessary. Right.
All right, guys, we are streaming worldwide, as I said, on the Mazda of Jackson live stream. I got to fix one thing here. I'm trying to get Rumble up and going. And for whatever reason, it is not working.
It seems that the net is a little choppy this morning.
Why?
It just seems to be.
What do you mean?
I was having a little trouble this morning with some online stuff. I was looking at some stuff, and it just seemed to be like it wasn't high speed as usual.
Well, I don't think this is what that is. This is something different here. It just says channel doesn't support custom titles. Like, yes, it does, actually. So I don't know.
It has been for years.
Yeah, it always has. I don't know why it's not now. I'm not even doing a custom title here. I'm just trying to sign on to Rumble. So I don't know. Either we are or we aren't on Rumble. I don't know. Either way, let me get my headphones on, and we're going to bring our friend Shaun Yurtkuran in. But we are streaming on Facebook, X, YouTube, Twitch. That's it, right? Facebook, X, YouTube, and Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we are a radio show first and foremost, so none of that really matters at the end of the day, does it? I was running kind of coming in here on two wheels, so to say, this morning. I left the house on time, actually early, about 10 minutes earlier than what not earlier than normal, but my line of demarcation is 6:20 a.m. to be backing out of my driveway to get out here. And there we go. And I got all the way up there to the red light at the corner of College Street and Highway 80 or West Government Street. I don't know why they call it two different things. But I guess the city's probably responsible for the maintenance on what they call West Government Street, and the county's responsible when it's called Highway 80. That's most likely why. Anyway, I got there to the red light, and guess what I didn't have on me? The old cell phone. And I've got a very important business lunch with a friend that's a mayor of a local town today at 11:30, and I was like, I probably need my phone today. And let's be honest, I don't want to be driving through Jackson like I have to and my truck break down for some odd reason. It's been dependable. It hadn't lived up to the old Ford nickname, Found on Road Dead, or I guess Ford would be an acronym for Found on Road Dead. Knock on wood, it hasn't done that to me. And I knew that today would be the day. If I did not have my phone, I'd be stuck on the side of 220. And they could finally catch me slipping. They could finally catch me slipping. So let's pull in the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Shaun Yurtkuran here. Let's get the volume up. Shaun, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Good. Yeah, because I was having some issues. But okay, go ahead. Yeah, good. I can hear you fine. Just running through the computer.
Cool.
New setup again today. I redid the whole room.
Did you? Well, I'm getting the live chat added to the screen here. I like to make people a part of the show. They like being a part of the show, so we're going to get them on the show here. 1 second there. All right. I know that's not great radio, but we don't have any switchover time anymore. We got 7 minutes from when Chip's done to when we start. So this is live radio.
The mad dash.
It is indeed a mad dash. Well, we got Creston Berch off camera. We got Shaun Yurtkuran and myself on camera. Shaun, we announced this a couple of days ago, and I re-announced it yesterday on the interwebs. Shaun will be doing at least the first hour every Friday with us, barring any kind of issue that may arise on his end. From 7 to at least 8 o'clock every Friday moving forward, Shaun Yurtkuran will be a fixture here on the show again. So, Shaun, welcome back, and thank you.
Thank you, man. It's good to be back after a little over a year, I guess now. So.
Yeah. We've done sporadic things here and there. And of course, Shaun's got his own show here on the radio station. Both Sides of the Bench. It airs every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on WYAB 103.9. Or let me say it right. It don't count if we don't say it right. 103.9 WYAB. and internal joke there. And then, well, it's not really a joke. It is true, but it's still funny nonetheless. But he also streams worldwide and live over there on his YouTube channel, Facebook, and YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, YouTube and Facebook. That's the only ones. I'm not tech savvy like you to get Rumble going and whatever else, X and Instagram and all the stuff you got.
It's just Both Sides of the Bench. Is that the name of the YouTube channel?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, Both Sides of the Bench. Y'all can find that, and make sure you're following Shaun. Well, Shaun, big case, and look, I'll just be honest. I've only been loosely following this thing, and I took kind of a crash course yesterday and last night about it beyond just the headlines, and that's this Lindsay Clancy case. Man, I learned a lot. I listened to about an hour and a half podcast while I was working out, and was really.
And you made me listen to it too, but it was worth it. It was actually worth it last night.
It really was, because they gave you the 30,000 foot view, where if you didn't know what was going on with this thing, you came out of this hour and a half podcast understanding what happened and what went on. Yeah. And honestly, Shaun, I don't know any other way to say it, but to say then that, and what I came out of it with was understanding that the women who are supporting Lindsay are bat crap crazy. And that seems like to be the best way to put it. I guess it
depends.
The way they framed it anyway, let me say that.
Well, I think it's like kind of twofold if you look at it. Mm-hmm. Like I think it's okay if you think that she suffers from some severe psychosis, right? I mean, I don't think anybody thinks it's okay that she killed her children in the manner that she did or at all. Right. But it's I think it's fine if you think, okay, well, she's not guilty by reason of insanity. She was crazy, whatever. Okay. I think that's a fine opinion to have. I don't know enough about, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't really give you that opinion. But the problem, I think the real issue that, and probably you agree with this, is that the ones that have like created an alternate scenario, kind of like in Nolan Wells. This is very analogous to that in my mind.
100%.
Like they've created I think that's what they've done, which is what they did in Nolan Wells, is they've created a conclusion and then tried to find evidence to support that conclusion, or at least lack of evidence to support that conclusion. Like that proves a conspiracy of some sort.
Right. And the conclusion that they have concocted in their heads is that somehow or another before the end of this trial, the prosecutor or the defense attorney, is going to turn the card and say, now, Mr. Clancy, you're guilty.
Right.
They have this dream scenario that somehow or another we're going to find him on trial before the end of the trial there, and that's obviously not how real life works.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's almost it's kind of funny, because now we're seeing like two of these cases kind of running at the same time. We're with Nolan Wells and that alternate universe that was created there. And then this is the same thing. Obviously a murder actually happened here. That's the big difference, right? But the same kind of process is happening just in the same way, but just on different fact scenario. So you've got like Nolan Wells, like people have created a murder that never happened. And here we've created a suspect that never was a suspect and has absolutely no evidence that there was any involvement whatsoever. That's Patrick Clancy when you break it down and look through it. So, but that's what people have wanted him to be, the one who did it. Just like Nolan Wells, they want those kids to have killed him instead of like him dying of an accident or whatever.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That appears to be what's going on. And there's entire Facebook groups and just followers of this woman, dedicated to this woman. And I do want to circle back a little bit to my original statement about everybody who thinks that all of her supporters being bat crap crazy. Hey, Shaun makes a great point about this psychosis thing. But, like how long are you supposed to be in postpartum psychosis when you're dealing with the youngest baby was 8 months old? And
yeah, that's right. And I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, also, this was not a spur of the moment thing here. A lot of planning went into this. This was premeditated as well. So, and I didn't know this last night. Again, this isn't really my cup of tea, these type trials. I don't do the true crime court TV stuff a whole lot unless it, is something that, I'm passionate about. But what I did not know was that she had thrown herself off the balcony in an attempt to kill herself, and she is she's paralyzed. She's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
She's a paraplegic now. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, she's suffered enough. She's lost her children and she's paralyzed. Well, first off, she didn't lose her children. She killed her children. You don't that'd be like me saying I threw something away and then trying to say I lost it. You didn't lose anything. You killed your children. So let's make no mistake about it here. You killed your children and then you paraplegic yourself. And you were very successful in eliminating 3 humans, not so successful in eliminating the 4th. And just to that, I would say, look at God working. You didn't get the easy way out, did you? Now you're going to be a paraplegic in prison, most likely. But I will say, now this podcast that we listened to last night predated, it's about a week old. So it predated the judge's orders yesterday. Shaun, did you hear those?
Yeah, right. What's the jury instructions?
The jury instructions, yes.
I didn't hear the jury instructions yesterday, but but yes, this podcast I think was a little bit older, right? I mean, I know that. Are you talking about like regards to what the options for sentencing? I mean, for them to convict her of, or not convict her?
Okay, so maybe I heard it wrong, but you can correct me here. I know the internet is making a big deal out of this. I think the judge said
it gets confusing.
It does. I want to be clear here. What the internet getting all excited. The internet got all excited thinking because they swapped out judges on the Carmelo Anthony retrial hearing automatically meant he was going to get a new trial. And no, he didn't. It got shot down immediately.
No,
it didn't take any time. No new trial. I mean, the appeal process can still work its way through the system, but highly unlikely. But back to this one. So the way that I believe I understood it in a couple of the reaction videos that I watched, the judge basically said that if you believe that she was suffering from psychosis, she can't be guilty of murder.
Right. What essentially what they're saying is that if you believe that, if you find that that's what you're finding is, then right, she's not criminally responsible. Okay. But it doesn't mean she just goes home. So what happens is she would go to a mental institution. And I looked at Massachusetts law similar to here, where they try to do what's called restore her to mental health, competency, whatever you want to call it. And then at that point, she could theoretically be released if that ever happened. Now, that may never happen for, a lot of people you have to stay there forever. But that's kind of the goal of that. And at least under Massachusetts law, what I'm reading. So that would be an option. So she's not just going to walk out of the courtroom because there's no option for that.
Got it.
What's going on? Yeah.
Shaun, yeah, let's take a break here. It looks like we were not streaming on YouTube, by the way, or anywhere for that matter. I forgot to hit the go live button, I guess. But kind of a moot point. This is a radio show first and foremost. I will say this: it should have been recording. That probably wasn't actually. Oh well, that's life in the big city. We'll take a break.
Hey,
the podcast will always be available if you want to go back and listen to any of this stuff. But let's take our first break, come back, and we'll reset this conversation a little bit. And we didn't even explain who Lindsay Clancy is, by the way, to anybody. I just kind of jumped straight into it, assuming that if I know about it by now, everybody knows what we're talking about. So we'll reset who Lindsay Clancy actually is and what exactly we think is going to happen from all this. Kind of give our perspective as men on this, and I'll give my perspective as a father on this. I don't think you have to be a parent to have a perspective on this, to be honest. I think that we all know the difference in right and wrong, and I don't think there's ever a valid excuse for you killing 3 kids and thinking that you're not going to prison. That's period, point blank. Either prison or an insane asylum, but you're not going to live amongst us. That's my opinion. But let's take a break real quick. We'll come back. We got Shaun Yurtkuran with the Yurtkuran Law Firm. You can find Shaun at onetextlaw.com. You can spell the number, you can spell it out or do the number. Either website works. onetextlaw.com. If you find yourself on the wrong side of the law and you need Shaun to defend you, which he's becoming one of the fastest rising, most well-respected attorneys out the gate here in a long, long time here in central Mississippi. You can't go anywhere without hearing his name in those circles. So we're proud to have him on the show. He was just doing a big interview with the WAPO, or the Washington Post, as well as People magazine this week on this very case. And that's why we're actually talking about it. So we want to see what he talked to them about. And, of course, he is officially back with the Clay Edwards Show every Friday moving forward. So excited about that. We'll be right back here. 103.9 WYAB. It's the Clay Edwards Show. We have Creston, Berch in studio. We got Shaun Yurtkuran on the Mazda Jackson live stream. And the live stream is up and running now. My apologies to those that missed that first segment there. And thank you to Justin for the $4.20 super chat. The tip jar is open if you want to send super chats. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. This segment brought to you by our friends over at, how about my friends at 042 Wine and Spirits right there, Highway 80, Brandon, Mississippi, downtown, or not quite downtown, Cross Gates, Brandon, right next to Sonny's Barbecue, right there on Highway 80. You know where it is. You know where Sonny's Barbecue is. Heck, you know where 042 Wine and Spirits is by now. They are the largest liquor store over there in Brandon with the biggest selection in the area. And did I tell you they were award-winning and locally owned as well? That's right, award-winning and locally owned. Man, I tell you, I like going in there and just window shopping. I like buying stuff too, don't get me wrong. I'm never going in there just window shopping. I always leave with something when I go. But Creston, you may agree with this. We are living in the golden age of liquor bottles and labels and stuff on wine and liquor and all that stuff.
Yeah, people are coming up with some truly good stuff when it comes to advertising their bottles.
They are, and I just love that kind of stuff. I love marketing and everything, and I just love all that stuff. I can get lost somewhere just looking at creative marketing and labels. I think what we're doing with craft beers now with the new label making machines, and heck, even these energy drinks like this here with the cool labels and stuff. This is a cotton candy flavored Rise, RYSE, 0 sugar, caffeine, shot of caffeine. But we're just living in the golden age. Let me pull Shaun back into this conversation here. We're living in the golden age of liquor bottles and wine bottles and just the designs and everything. And I like going to 042 and just wandering around and looking at all the stuff, especially the small batch or craft not breweries, but craft distilleries, and kind of the creative stuff they've come up with.
Now it do help if you don't judge the book by its cover, because what's inside the bottle may not be as pretty or as good as what is on the outside of it. So it helps if you got good stuff in there, and then your brand is made because everybody knows that bottle.
Sure. But at the end of the day, I still like window shopping, and I'm going to buy what I'm going to buy. But I like looking at cool stuff too. Yeah. Because trust me, I've had some beers that the can is the coolest thing you've ever seen in the world, and then you take a sip of it, and it's like. But we won't talk about. I won't name anybody. I won't name any of those brands. But the mainly IPAs. I'm just decided I'm not really an IPA guy, but I have found one or two that I do like. But anyway, 042 Wine and Spirits, over 400 different wines to choose from, 200 different bourbons and whiskeys, up to 50 different vodkas, 50 different tequilas, 50 different gins, and a running gaggle of ready-to-drink cocktails. So you don't have to do any of the work. Just get cold, pop top, drink. I kind of gotten to where that's what I like doing in life. Just less is more. Less is more. Hey, when before you know it too, it'll be Mardi Gras season around here, and they'll have my favorite, which I got 4 bottles of it in my freezer that I'll probably never drink. But my favorite is that Gambino's out of New Orleans. They do a flavored rum, a Mardi Gras flavored rum. Or what do they call everything at Mardi Gras? What's that flavor that comes out? King cake. It's king cake flavored rum, and I like to take it and Fireball and mix it together for like a fire and ice style shot. Some people do rum chata and Fireball. I like this, which I do like that, by the way. But I like this king cake rum and Fireball. Mix it 1-to-1 for a great shot. It tastes like, well, cinnamon flavored king cake. You can't go wrong with it. But look, that's just me. I'm not telling you, if you don't drink, don't drink. If you do, don't drink and drive. But if you like to get you some drinky to drink, swing by and see my friends at 042 Wine and Spirits. All right, Shaun Yurtkuran, we are officially back. We are officially streaming live here on the Mazda Jackson live stream this morning after some not technical difficulties, but after some clay difficulties, some user difficulties. But again, we're a radio show first and foremost. Let's reset this Lindsay Clancy thing a little bit here. Lindsay Clancy is a mother up she's in Massachusetts, right, Shaun?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah, so she's in Massachusetts.
Okay, yeah.
And so here,
that's right.
So here's what happened. I got a little short synopsis here to bring everybody up to speed. It says Lindsay Clancy is a former labor and delivery nurse with the Duxbury, Massachusetts. She's been charged with killing her 3 children back on January 24th of 2023. The case is now in jury deliberation stage, and they could come back with a verdict as early as this morning, or not. They went into deliberation yesterday and did not come back with a verdict. Now, I'm not sure what time they went into deliberation, so it could have been towards the end of the day. Not sure, and I'm not sure if they go 24 hours there, but they pulled the plug at some point pretty early in the evening and said we'll come back tomorrow. But usually, let me finish this and I'll get Shaun's opinion. It says, so what happened was on the afternoon of January 24th, Lindsay, then 32 years old, took her daughter to a pediatrician appointment, played in the snow with her kids, and later asked her husband, Patrick, to pick up takeout from a restaurant at a neighboring town, then stop at a CVS for medicine. While he was gone, roughly 5:15 to 6 p.m., she strangled the 3 children with exercise resistance bands in their basement of their home. Cora was 5, Dawson was 3, and Callan was 8 months old. And Shaun, what I learned on that podcast last night was Callan, the 8-month-old, he fought back. Now, not physically fight back, but he fought back. He was a tough little survivor, and he did not die immediately. They actually kept him on life support for a few days or a week or so. It looks like died 3 days later. Is what it says here. So, what a cruel woman, man. And then after the killings, she cut her wrist and neck and then jumped from a 2nd-story window. She survived with a spinal cord injury and is paralyzed from the waist down. Patrick, the husband, found her outside, called 911. He asked, I do remember this. He asked her where the kids were at, and she said, "Oh, they're inside." Well, he didn't know they were inside, dead, and so he didn't run to attend to them. And like I said, this case is deep. It's got a lot to it. We're not going to sit here and do a long, drawn out podcast about what led to her doing this, but I more or less want to kind of get to how the trial and kind of what Shaun thinks is going to happen. Shaun, a lot of the internet thinks this lady's going to walk for this.
Yeah, I think well, first of all, they're getting confused by like what walk means. That's like I was saying in the last segment.
She ain't walking nowhere. But
no scenario is she going home. I mean, the instructions I believe are not guilty by reason of insanity means she goes to the mental institution. So that's going to happen. I think the internet thinks that all of a sudden the jury's going to come back and point at Patrick Clancy and say this is the guy that did it, and that's not going to happen. I mean, that was not brought up during the trial as a defense, and that was kind of my biggest point to people about this is that if you're a defense lawyer, the defense of someone else did it is not a novel defense, right? I mean, it's either it wasn't me, like Shaggy used to say, right? Somebody else. So that's pretty easy. And if the lawyer who I've been reading a lot about him, he's 75 years old. He's got a ton of experience. If that was available to him to put this on Patrick, he'd have done that, right? This guy's a good lawyer. He didn't do that. Well, he didn't do that for a reason, because there was no evidence that happened at all. And he knows as a lawyer that you have to actually have this thing called evidence that the internet doesn't have to have, right? It's convenient for the internet, doesn't need that. So his best option in this situation was this insanity defense, which, by the way, is a very difficult thing to win. It's like, you probably heard me talk about the entrapment defense with Jody and getting white girl wasted. It's like that hard to pull this off, because most people are like, that don't, understand. And I'm not saying I'm one of the people that understand mental health, but, they're like, well, I mean, you're crazy and you did it anyway. I mean, that's what jurors think, like there's a lot of jurors that are going to think that. They're not going to be like, well, you really were insane. Now there's some that will, and that happens, but a lot of times that's a difficult thing to show. Now, what the prosecution did here was they set up a fact scenario where she planned this out. And that was to say, look, if you could plan something this way, then how are you crazy at the time it happens? And I think that's a pretty good argument. Now, that's not necessary under the Massachusetts standard. You still can be, but I thought that was the best way for them to kind of knock back that defense.
Well, didn't she also admit to this? I mean, sort of.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, it's undisputed in anywhere that she did it. The only place it's disputed is on, Facebook. I mean, that's it. But other than that, like, her lawyer says she did it. The police says she did it. Everybody says she did it. That's not an issue, right, in the case, which I think people don't understand. Like, it's just not an issue, right, that's going to come out.
But yeah, Shaun, but vibes and feelings say that, say the husband did it.
Yeah, right. And that's just amazingly shocking. And you got to think, I read yesterday that apparently I think he's employed some lawyers to sue a lot of these influencers, kind of like Nolan Wells' case. Well, those kids are doing that. And I listen, you probably, actually, I've read about it in other places, but that podcast you sent me last night, I thought they laid this point out, or the guy did. He said, how bad do you got to feel for Patrick Clancy? The guy lost his 3 children in one swoop. His wife jumps, is paralyzed. And now half the country thinks he's a killer. Yeah. Based on nothing. I mean, like, that's got to be pretty rough. Yeah. And so a quick little reset here for everybody. And I don't want to sell this short because, I'm no fan of the pharmaceutical industrial complex by any means. There's a lot of fingers being pointed at big pharma and doctors for over prescribing medications as well here. And it says Patrick later sued some of her doctors, alleging that they overprescribed and failed to monitor her deteriorating condition. So I do want to put that out there. That's kind of, I don't know if that's the defense that they're trying to use or whatnot, but they're trying to explain that she wasn't mentally all there when she made this decision. And I'll say this in defense of that. Yeah, obviously she's crazy. Right.
Yeah. But crazy doesn't mean not guilty.
Yeah, right, exactly. You can have a mental health disease and still be criminally responsible. That's a great way you put that. That's exactly a different standard. You can still have a mental health condition. Like, not everybody that has a mental health condition and goes out and kills somebody is not guilty by reason of insanity, or basically everyone we know would be get off at murder. That's what would happen. So that's not the standard. It's did you appreciate whether the act you were doing was wrong or right? Now, that's the Mississippi standard, McNaughton. Massachusetts has an easier standard for defendants where you may have known what you were doing was wrong, but you couldn't control it. It's kind of like when you get drunk and you can't control texting someone, like that kind of stuff, or you go make bad decisions when you're drinking. Like, it's kind of like, the best way I can say is like that. It's so it's a little bit easier standard for the defendant, or hurdle for them to clear in Massachusetts than it would be here. But it doesn't mean just because, you're bipolar or you've got some sort of depression that's your excuse. That's not your ticket to get out of a murder.
Yeah, but I've been to jail, and I would say the overwhelming majority of the people in them holding cells, the few times I went, whether it was for 4 or 5 hours or for 3 days, it's the most I ever stayed. But I would say the majority of the people that were wrapped up in there with me were mentally insane. And I'm not saying that just to be a smartass here. I'm being honest with you. Like, the people were literally crazy. And Creston, you can probably speak on this. We got to go to a break, but you've arrested a bunch of people over the years, I'm sure. And mental air quotes in the studio, mental health is a real issue out there.
100%. We would love to have somewhere to take these people when we deal with them, not to jail.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes, it is what it is. You break the law, you go to jail.
You got to do what you got to do.
So, all right, let's take a break here real quick. We've got Shaun Yurtkuran, OneTextLaw.com, Yurtkuran Law Firm. We've got Creston Berch, recently ritired 30-year Clinton police officer. And you have me, former criminal. I'm kidding. Well, not really. I've been on all sides of this bench except the right one. Let's take a break here real quick. Come back. We got more of the Clay Edwards show to go. We're discussing the Lindsay Clancy trial. The jury is out for deliberation. We'll just pick this back up. If you want to text the show, if you got any questions for Shaun, if you're watching on the live stream, I've got Creston watching the live stream. He can pull up any questions you may have. I got to get some readers. I can't see it from here. And then if you want to text the show on the Ellis Autoplex text line, that number is 769-241-1944. Ellis Autoplex text line, 769-241-1944. And this interview is brought to you by Ellis Autoplex. You can check them out online at ellisautoplex.com for a huge selection of four-door, four-wheel drive, pre-owned pickup trucks, F-150s, Silverados, Rams, Toyotas, and more. And, of course, they have cars and SUVs, too, and they're always looking to buy your vehicle from you, whether you're buying one from them or not. Located on Highway 471 in Brandon, Mississippi. It's Ellis Autoplex. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB, streaming worldwide over on the Mazda Jackson live stream. And this segment brought to you by our friends over at, man, I tell you what, I'm going to tell you more about Cypress Point this evening, but just real quick, for lunch today, you've got fried catfish at both Martin's locations. That's right, both Martin's locations. No, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. Fried catfish at both McBee's locations. McBee's and the brand new McBee's Lakeside at Caroline. Lake Caroline is officially open. Swing by and grab lunch there today if you're out in that area. And if you're on the other side of Madison County by the reservoir, swing by the OG location right there, Buzz and Riz, since 1982. One of the last great Gen X dive bars, still alive and kicking. Go by, see our good friends there. Great staff they got over there at both locations, honestly. I've interviewed people that work at both of them, been friends with people that work at both of them. You're going to be pleasantly surprised. Well, actually, you're not going to be surprised because McBee's has got great food, great service, and a great ambiance. And you're going to get all that at either location you go to. Shaun and I went and ate at the new location a couple Sundays ago and had a great experience. We sat over in the bar area at one of the tables there. Tons of TVs, nice vibe in there. And I think you're going to be really, really pleasantly surprised when you get over there. So check out both McBee's locations today. It's a fried catfish Friday, and that is Mississippi farm-raised catfish. Ain't no Vietnamese catfish here. Get on with that. So swing by and check them out. All right, man. Shaun Yurtkuran, OneTextLaw.com, Creston Berch in here. We're discussing the Lindsay Clancy trial going on. It's out for the jury is out for deliberation, seeing what is going to happen there. Shaun, what kind of shirt you wearing this morning?
Oh, it's one of those Roots of Fight, Muhammad Ali. I got a bunch of them.
I know
everything that. If you go to they take all my money.
They do.
But if you go to eBay, you can get them cheaper.
Oh, really?
I buy them on eBay, because people just, you get them because people buy it once and then they want to sell it because they cost,
Well, that,
so,
and,
there's a plethora.
Yeah, a lot of people will buy those unique shirts and they don't want to be seen wearing the same shirt repeatedly. So they'll buy it once and turn around and sell it. Not me. I will wear a shirt out, especially if it fits good. Makes my muscles look good. That shirt's y'all gonna see that shirt a lot. That's why I've started buying the shirts from those companies without any print on them. Anyway, Lindsay Clancy, Shaun. So the jury's out for deliberation. You got this thing is crazy, man. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, if they don't want to say so. Of course, since Facebook's been pretty much a madhouse, people were arguing in some thread last night that about how long the jury deliberates. And I love when people talk about this because they think, oh, a short time is good and a long time is bad, right? That's like this wisdom that's out there, which some of that sometimes is true. But I mean, I've tried a lot of cases, and one thing I've learned, you don't ever know what a jury's going to do, how long they're going to take. It indicates absolutely nothing most of the time. So like if it takes a really long time and they can't get to a verdict, they'll usually send out a note that says, hey, look, we can't agree, right? And that will be a long time. So I understand that. But I made an example yesterday. The O.J. Simpson jury returned a not guilty verdict after an 8-month trial in 4 hours. Okay. I mean, so like just because it's a quick verdict doesn't mean it's not going to be a not guilty. When I was prosecuting, I tried a case one time, and I thought it was a good case for me. Apparently the jury did not agree with me, and they returned a not guilty in like 2 hours. So and then I've had cases that the jury has deliberated for like 3 to 4 days and come back guilty. So you just don't know. Like you don't know what 12 people are going to do. And so I think that's so anybody looking at the time, unless it's an indication that the jury is hung up, which in this case is very possible to happen. I do see that. It doesn't mean anything except that.
And this is a majority female jury too, right? I think I saw that.
Yeah, like 9 female members of the jury, right? Which though, people think that automatically is going to favor her. I don't know that it necessarily is because of the internet, right? Because I've seen a lot of. Again, there's these assumptions people make in jury selection. They think that just because somebody's of a specific sex or race, that they're going to vote a certain way. And in my experience, that is not necessarily indicative of that, because you can meet an African-American juror like in Jackson that has lived here for 40 years in your old neighborhood, South Jackson. Let's say he's owned his home and he goes to work every day. And last year I picked a jury, and a man like that raised his hand and said, man, I am sick of this crime. I'm sick of it. So, like, just because he's black and you're thinking, well, maybe he'll be easier on him. No, that guy was going to convict quicker than there was somebody. I remember it was a white person in Fondren that I cut because of that, but conventional wisdom is like, oh, well, you want to do that because they'll convict. So, I mean, you have to look at each individual person and see what you think they'll vote, not just based on those external factors, in my opinion.
Shaun, would you want to strike me from a jury if you were the defense attorney?
Oh yeah. I don't know. You know what? Actually, I don't know. I don't know that, Clay. Just knowing you like I do, I think you'd actually look at it. Yeah. I don't know. I think you actually would. I don't think you just automatically convict somebody.
When somebody's life
just need to know, don't you now? I don't think.
When somebody's life is in your hands, seriously, I mean, it's fun to get up here and talk a little crap and rattle the cages and stuff like that. But when somebody's life is in your hands, I'm a big believer in karma. And I don't want to go just saying guilty. Well, he got accused of it in Jackson. He's got more than 4 vowels in his name. He's guilty. I'm actually, all joking aside, I'm seriously going to look at it because the ripple effect of sending somebody to jail is far reaching. And you've got to be very careful about stuff like that in all seriousness.
Well, also, I think you've lived in Jackson so long, and you and I talk about stuff like this all the time. I mean, there's a difference between somebody going out and robbing a liquor store or killing somebody or committing a sexual assault, and then a street crime. And I think you know what I'm talking about, right? So I had a really good discussion with a really old friend of mine who's still a prosecutor this week. So hypothetically, let's say there's this case that a dope dealer steals another dope dealer's money and gets caught, right? I think you would be inclined to be let the street handle that. Why are we here? You know what I mean? Whereas opposed to somebody that's I'm all law and order. That's still a crime. Another dope dealer stole the dope dealer's money. But in all actuality, neither one of us give a crap, right?
Right.
So I think that's kind of the difference where you can evaluate it based on things. But I've met people that don't understand that dynamic, and they'll be like, oh, well, it's a crime. I'm like, well, it's a little different than that,
Shaun, how much time you got this morning?
I could stay then after the 8 if you want.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back with Shaun Yurtkuran and Creston Berch on the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. We'll bring Shaun back in at the top of the hour at 8:07 and pick this conversation about Lindsay Clancy back up, and we'll get to all your questions. So if you got any questions that you want to ask Shaun, I don't know why you want my opinion on it, but if you want to ask Shaun legal questions, why does his opinion matter, you're asking? Well, spent 10 years as a prosecutor in Hinds County, and the last couple of years defending some very high-profile murder cases, murder suspects in Hinds County and around the area. So he's literally been on both sides of the bench of some of the highest profile cases in this county and, frankly, the state's history over the last 20 years. He also secured the last death penalty that got given out in Hinds County about 10 years ago. So his opinion matters, and we'll get more of it when we return. Right? Actually, we ain't going nowhere for another minute. I was looking at my clock wrong. We go to the hard out at 59 minutes and 40 seconds. That 58 was looking like a 59 there from the distance. So I do apologize. Yeah. So my point about Shaun is, his opinion matters because of his experience, literally on both sides of the bench, as his show is titled here on WYAB and online. So it's interesting to get his perspective on these type things. And we'll talk about that. And then we have Creston Berch here, who spent 30 years in law enforcement, and I want to get his opinion on this, if he's been following it any. And then we have a couple other topics I want to get to, whether Shaun sticks around or not. We have another arrest in the Nolan Wells case, as well as a curfew for an entire county. We'll be right back. Boom goes the dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. It's hour 2 here on 103.9 WYAB. And, of course, we're streaming worldwide and live over on the Mazda of Jackson live stream. We're on YouTube. We're on X. We're on Facebook, and as well as Rumble and Twitch. You can find it by searching either Save JXN or Clay Edwards Show. It'll pop up in one place or the other. Here live in the studio with me, we've got our friend, Mr. Creston Berch, 30-year recently retired Clinton law enforcement officer. And somewhere online, we've got Shaun Yurtkuran. I'm not seeing his video box back live yet, but he should pop back in, unless we had a misunderstanding there at the end of the show and at the end of the last segment. And there he is. We've got Shaun back. Before we bring Shaun back in real quick, let's do a little business here. This segment brought to you by our friends at Grills of Mississippi. I try to, on the weekends, tell you about places that are open on the weekends as we go into the weekends, and things that I think can serve you the best while you're out and about doing your weekend shopping and whatnot. But yeah, Grills of Mississippi, if you're planning on doing any cooking this weekend, and don't let the name fool you. You don't have to be grilling to appreciate what the offerings at Grills of Mississippi. But I'm going to be cooking a pork loin in a crock pot this weekend, where I'm going to use some marinades and seasonings I got at Grills of Mississippi. So I think big picture here is more than just grills and smokers. It's any way you're going to possibly think about cooking meat, they've got something for you to make it taste better or cook easier. But, of course, what they do specialize in is grills and smokers and all of the accessories for those two things. So swing by, check them out today, and try their pellets. If you got a pellet smoker, they got the best pellets in the game, grown right here in the Southeast, in this rainforest that is the humidity down here in the Southeast. They're going to burn, I think, up to 75% longer. They've got less ash, which is going to make your smoker last way longer. And the flavor profile in those cherry and apple woods and all of that kind of stuff is going to last much, much longer than these pellets that you buy at the big box stores that are grown from trees or made from trees grown in the desert up in Utah. I mean, that don't even make no sense. Why would you go burn pellets from trees grown in a non-wet environment? It just don't make sense, So you sit there. By the time the grill's hot or the smoker's up to heat, you done burn the flavor off the pellets anyway. That don't even make sense. I want my apple wood to taste like apple wood or peach or oak or whatever. So Grills of Mississippi, they got you faded. Stop by, see them today. And I think over 500 different seasonings and rubs and marinades, and you could try every one before you buy. So check them out today, right there, Highway 51 North in Ridgeland, Mississippi. If you're heading north on 51, if you pass Trace Station Shopping Center and Trace Grill and all that, you'll see it right there on your right. Big old brick building, big windows. You'll see that big trailer they got that's a smoker out front there. You can't miss it. Grills of Mississippi. Tell them Clay sent you. And you can check them out online at grillsofms.com. And real quick, before we move forward here, I want to send prayers out to our friends Ashley and Nick. Their mother was in a terrible, terrible car accident earlier in the week, and she is showing some movement. There was a neck injury or a back injury, but I did read a post last night that there's some movement in one of her legs, and that was unexpected, and it's very good. That's called God working and prayer working. So if you know Ashley and Nick, and I'm hesitant about giving out people's last names and who's who and stuff, because there's crazy people out there in the world, and if they were to say something about their mother because they disagree with one of them or what they do for a living or whatever, I would probably come and break their kneecaps myself with a bat or a baton. So we're going to avoid that happening because of this show. But if you know Ashley and Nick, they're great people, and their mother's a phenomenal human being, and just keep her in your prayers, if you would, moving into the weekend here, because the Lord is working and the prayers are working. There has been some movement in her lower extremities after the accident, and my understanding is that was not expected. So that is the kind of news I want going into the weekend. Shaun, they tell me I don't talk about good news enough on this show. That's some good news right there.
Yeah.
All right, well,
there's some good people. So I hope they're okay too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got Shaun Yurtkuran here again, Creston Berch. Shaun, let's pick back up here on this Lindsay Clancy. All these crazy girl names.
Yeah.
Lindsay, Ashley, Lacey. This is like I just made up Lacey there, but I was thinking maybe Lacey Peterson or something. Just all of the barrage.
Right, there was Lacey and. What was the Casey Anthony? That's the one that killed her kid too. I think.
Yeah, I heard Casey Anthony was a big supporter of Lindsay.
I mean, well, you got to be of the home team. I would say at that point. I mean, that's kind of I could see that. Sure.
Let me get my completely.
I tell you what, though.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, let me get my complete.
No. You go ahead. You go.
My complete inappropriate comment of the day. Casey Anthony really. I don't know if y'all seen her lately, but Casey Anthony got some junk in the trunk. Like, I would get completely booty blinded given the opportunity. I just want to throw that out there. Like, you know what? God forgives, but have you seen her butt? No,
God forgive, right?
But I was like, my God, it was a meme. Before anybody says anything, it was a meme that was rolling around last year or so when she kind of resurfaced in the public eye. Somebody called her out somewhere and took a picture of her, and all anybody noticed was, oh my God, look how big her butt is now. So anyway, back to the regularly scheduled
Well, there's a
program.
saying, it's called there's a saying, it's called not guilty, but doesn't mean innocent.
Right. What is your slogan? Just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty?
Doesn't mean you're guilty. Right there, it works both ways.
All right. So, Shaun, let's Creston, feel free to chime in at any point here, man. Actually, I'll tell you what, we can let's try the 3-camera system here.
Let's see if it works.
Yeah. Well, just so y'all know, I'm not being mean at leaving Creston off here on purpose. What happened was the other day, I brought Creston on, and I have to remove all of our names so he don't have my name under his picture. So I apologize for that. But I brought him on, and that camera took over both cameras here, and we were all Creston on the screen. And look, it's called the Clay Edwards Show. If I can't be on the screen, nobody can.
There's one of me, and there's all that need to be.
Right. So, with that said, Creston spent a long time as a law enforcement officer, so I like getting his take and opinion on this stuff too. Shaun, I just want to kind of speak as a father here for a minute on this. And I think what Patrick Clancy is going through right now is something that, the only thing I have in relation to him is that we're both fathers. And I saw where, these crazy women online are mad at this man because he's, is moving forward and living his life. I guess he's remarried or maybe engaged. I know she's pregnant. She's pregnant.
No, he's remarried.
He's remarried. And his current wife is pregnant. And I just want to say this, man, how hard it must be to trust a woman again to impregnate her after that. And to that woman, kudos to you for taking this broken man and understanding that you're going to be under a microscope, probably like no woman in the history of Earth that has decided to have a child with a man coming out of another marriage, whose wife, I'm guessing others too, but I can't think of other high profile ones like this, where the wife killed the kids and then the man remarries and has another kid with the woman. You think it's going to be a big moment for him the first time he leaves the house and leaves them there by themselves, Shaun? I mean, being dead serious here, that's going to be one of the things I think you almost have to do immediately to get over the fear of doing it. Not to make bad analogies, but that's like the old get back up on the horse and go after it knocks you off, or after you have a bicycle wreck when you're a kid, getting right back on so you don't fear getting back on.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a very difficult moment for him. The one thing though, and they actually said this in the podcast, but I know this from my days at the DA's office, is we always would have you have what's called a victims assistance coordinator, and that's a big part of that job, is dealing with victims of especially violent crimes. And the fact but what the guy said on the podcast last night, we should applaud him for being able to move on, because that's what you want for all victims, to move on from this, because it's so traumatic, anything like this. And I've dealt with just so many different victims over the years that have been through things, and you just sometimes get amazed at how they are able to deal with it and handle it. The ones I used to get amazed at the most was the ones that were able to forgive somebody that killed their loved one, like their mom or their dad or their kids. I don't have that capacity.
I don't either.
I don't know that, but I really, really applaud people that do that. I'm more like Liam Neeson, like that would be kind of my take on the thing. But but there was a lot that could do that. And so I think it's great that he can move on, especially, he's lost his children. His former wife is paralyzed, and now he's being accused of being a murderer based on no evidence. And it's kind of like you and I have been talking about, Clay, and you've been talking on your show for months now about the kids in Ocean Springs. I mean, what they're dealing with, being now they've lost their friend, and now they're a bunch of murderers. And this is where our society is right now. And if you give an opinion that is contrary to that narrative, then there's something wrong with you. Like you're evil, or I'm supporting Patrick Clancy. I'm just supporting the evidence. That's all I do. That's what I do. What's the evidence? Yeah. And make your opinion based on that.
Yeah. And, I'm a racist because I don't want to blame all the boys for, I don't think these boys killed their friend. You're a racist Klansman. Right. What do you mean? You didn't hear the CETO tape? I'm like, the doctored one? I didn't hear that. You don't believe this conspiracy theory. You don't believe that conspiracy theory. And Shaun, I used to be a big conspiracy theory guy, as you know. And since we became friends, I've forced myself to so you would entertain my conversations and not cut me off. I'm forced to start presenting more evidence in black and white to prove points to get Shaun to go along. And what's been kind of funny is I've kind of gone more towards no conspiracy theories, and Shaun's kind of gone a little bit more towards, well, I'll listen, because a few of those conspiracy theories.
It rubs off on you, Shaun. Be careful.
Well, a few of those ended up kind of being right.
Like Epstein,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right.
So
I did dismiss that initially, and then I was like, wait a second,
Yeah, so,
I think it is one of those things where I think I'm generally
Go ahead.
Oh, I think I'm generally correct dismissing most of these, but occasionally they're going to be right.
Right. I think, for people out there listening, I think we have a slight delay in when I speak and when Shaun gets it, and vice versa. So if you wonder why we're stopping or how we ended up accidentally talking over each other, it's because of this little delay that we have on the stream today. So I do apologize for that in advance here, because there's nothing we can do about it, and it is what it is. We would always rather do these in person, but logistically it just doesn't always work out like that. And the internet has been given us quite a gift of being able to do these streams. Yeah. And have guests that otherwise we couldn't have. So I do appreciate that.
Well, I do have a question for Shaun, unless you got something.
No, I'm just rambling.
Okay, good deal. Shaun, good morning. I hadn't said good morning to you yet. The outcomes on this case can be.
Hey, good morning.
can be several things, and I'm not sure that the public may understand. She could be found guilty of first-degree murder, and that's mandatory life without parole in this particular instance.
Correct.
And then she could be found guilty of second-degree murder or manslaughter, and lesser penalties, which would be life without parole, or life with possibility of parole with other terms. And then the third outcome is she could be found not guilty by reason of lack of criminal responsibility. And in that particular case, she would be she would have to go to a psychiatric facility, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Till they restore her to mental health, I guess, or whatever you would, I don't know the psychological, there's a term for it.
Yeah.
They have to, like, it's kind of like in Mississippi where you would, if someone's found, right. Yeah. You send them out to Whitfield and they would, they try to restore them to competency.
And at some point in time,
it seems to me to be similar to that.
And at some point in time, she would be released from there.
Possibly. I think that it's theoretically it could continue for the rest of her life, though, or theoretically it could, the way I'm reading it. But I think most likely, yeah, if she's restored to whatever that means, I don't know how they evaluate that or how, like, I've never seen that play out in real life. Like, I love somebody maybe that knows that. Like, has somebody that's been found not guilty by reason of insanity ever just when have they been released? What are the statistics on that? I wonder in Mississippi even. Because I've never seen somebody be found not guilty by reason of insanity in Mississippi. I've just never seen that. I'm sure it's happened. I just don't know about it.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we can do that research during this break we're about to take here on the Clay Edwards Show. We got Shaun Yurtkuran, we got Creston Berch. We're discussing this Lindsay Clancy trial. They're out. The jury is out for deliberation now, and I'll tell you what's going to happen here. We'll come back and the show will end at 9 a.m. and all breaking news happens at 9:01 a.m. around here. And we'll miss getting to discuss it on the show, but some of our other great hosts here at WYAB will get to have it on their shows, and that'll be fine. I'm not a hater. I hope they all get their moment in the sun as well. Let's do this. Let's take a break real quick. Come back. If you got any questions, the Ellis Autoplex text line 769-241-1944. Of course, you can drop a question off in the live chat there on the Mazda Jackson live stream. Shaun, you good for another segment?
Yeah, man, I got time this morning. I don't got a meeting until 10, so you got me till 9 if you want.
Okay, great. Well, we may pivot a little bit too and talk about this latest arrest in the Nolan Wells case that came down last night. And also I want to get Shaun's opinion on this county-wide curfew that came down for, was it Sharkey?
Humphreys.
Humphreys.
We'll get the right to H in there.
Yeah, Mississippi Delta. How about that?
There you go.
I used to be an assistant DA in Humphreys County.
Oh, well.
So that's good.
All the more reason why Shaun's opinion matters. We'll be right back here on the Clay Edwards Show, 103.9 WYAB. Welcome back in to the most incendiary show in all of the world ever, period. We are it. This doesn't get no more incendiary than this. With the fire starters, the ones that speak without any regard to the consequences or repercussions of the words that may come out of my mouth. That is right. That is I. That is he. That is the D-O-double-G, the Clay Edwards Show. The OG. I'm kidding. Kim Wade's the OG, but I'm the young pup coming up, snipping at the heels of the king, to be the king in waiting of incendiary content here in Central Mississippi. Shout out to Kim Wade. Love my guy. You can listen to him every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6, right here on these very airwaves. If you enjoy my content, you will love Kim's, Mr. No Holds Back. That's what we got a nickname. That's Kim's new nickname, Mr. No Holds Barred, Kim Wade. Real quick, this segment, man, if you're looking for something to do this weekend, Cameron's Garage, Cypress Point Resort. I can't think of a better place to go spend my time, whether you're looking to do something with the family during the day, the safari, the drive-through safari. How much fun is that? You know, and the weather, I don't know about today's forecast, but yesterday, man, it felt good outside. I bought that new water-cooled fan for the garage so I could work out. And last night when I worked out, I didn't even have to cut the water-cooled part on. I just cut the fan on, and it felt pretty good outside. It felt like the humidity was down a good bit. So get out, find something to do outside, and do that do that thing over there at Cypress Point Resort out off Holly Bush Road. It's not, they don't call it a resort just because it sounds good in the name, because it makes it sound bigger than it is. This thing is a legitimate resort. They got cabins back in the back you can rent for one night or for the weekend and get out there and enjoy it. Might I make a suggestion? You could go out there, college football kickoff weekend. Now, I wouldn't call weekend 0 the one to do it for, but the next weekend, week 1, when all the SEC teams kick off and everything. Guys, I did it last year. It wasn't necessarily a planned staycation. It just kind of happened. Went out there, rented me a cabin, partied during the daytime. Then during the evening at Cameron's Garage, the big sports bar there. During the day, some other friends had a cabin because they were playing that weekend there. We hung out, we grilled, we partied. We just had a really good time, and it wasn't very expensive. I did run back home once or twice. No drinking and driving, of course. Ran back home once or twice to check on my dogs, feed them, let them out, all that good stuff, and went back and, man, just had a blast. I stayed the Friday night and Saturday night. I think it runs about $100 a night-ish for the cabins, and it's a great, what we call staycation. You can go down there, you can watch all the games. You can catch the shuttle. One of the employees will shuttle you back to your cabin, back on the back of the property, and you'll have a great time. Again, not too expensive. You're still close to home if anything is to pop off and you have an emergency and you need to be home for anything. You got the sports bar there with all the TVs, live entertainment. They got a country store there with a butcher that sells fresh cut steaks and pork and chicken and all that good stuff that you can grill back there. Or you can go eat at the steakhouse, hang out at the tavern, eat at the buffet. One-stop shop. It's a legitimate resort. And, of course, you got the drive-through safari with all the wild animals. Check them out, Cypress Point Resort. If you want to know who's playing this weekend, go check out their Facebook page. They got it all listed right there. Let's bring Shaun Yurtkuran back in. Shaun, you there, my brother?
Yep.
All right.
Here.
Creston, do we have any questions on the live stream, on the Mazda Jackson live stream?
Not any particular ones.
All right, let me check the Ellis Autoplex text line here real quick, and we'll pivot and go to another topic. Somebody did say Hinckley was released.
Oh, was he? Oh, okay. Wow. There was, I think, Creston was asking about, kind of simply this. So the people that weren't tuned in before, with Lindsay Clancy, there's actually 3 destinations here, if you want to look at it that way. It's life without parole if it's going to be first-degree murder. This is Massachusetts law. It's potentially parole eligible if it's second degree, and up to 20 years if it's manslaughter or like a psychiatric commitment, like I was saying before, the mental institution. So that's kind of where it is.
Shaun, did you get that Facebook post I just sent you? So I just found this.
Let me see.
I'm gonna read it. So I just found this Facebook post. This is
I did. I read it. Yeah, at the break. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is to get you. This is the state of mind that's going on out there. It's to try to paint a picture for people who might not be as plugged into this trial to kind of know what's going on social media. There's a lot of women, and I don't know if these women are actually moms or not, but there's a lot of women who are on Lindsay's side and thinks that she should roll out of that courtroom. But here's a post, and this is from a page called Legally at Law. So I guess they're a Facebook attorney. And it says, "Moms, we ride at dawn." It says the prosecution is every person who tells a mom she should have just ordered takeout. She didn't have to take the medication, right? She seemed happy. All the while, a woman is suffering in a nurse's office, in her home, and now in front of the nation. We need compassion. We need understanding. We need women to be validated, heard, and helped. Shut up, a woman's talking. Okay, I added that part. It says, not burned at the stake. And to every mom, I think that's worse than what I said, honestly. It says, and to every mom who has ever been dismissed, judged, told she looks fine, told she should be grateful, questioned about why she didn't ask for help differently, or criticized for how she survived one of the most vulnerable periods of her life. We ride at dawn. Moms support moms. Women support women. And we stop pretending that suffering has to look a certain way before we take it seriously. And I want to say the first thing here. with this women support women crap. I just want y'all to pretend for 1 second that the roles were reversed here and the dad was the one on trial for killing his 3 kids and then trying to kill himself. Would the same compassion be there? What if Shaun and Creston and I were sitting here saying, men, we ride at dawn. We should be able to unalive our children and not be charged with it. We were having a bad mental health day. What would y'all say about that? What about the guy that killed his 8 kids the black guy that killed his 8 kids over in Shreveport last year? What about the dad up north somewhere? I want to say don't remember where exactly. A couple of weeks ago, killed all of his kids. One of them was adopted and his wife because he was having an affair with his secretary. Well, maybe he just wasn't getting the love and compassion from his wife at home. Maybe she wasn't telling him he looked handsome when he walked out the door to go to work that day, and it just ate at him, and he felt like he having an affair, and he just felt like the only way out was to, do the friggin' unthinkable, most evil thing that a human being could do. And we sat here and we said, well, y'all just don't know what dads go through. Y'all just don't understand the stress we're under, having to be the provider, having to put up with this crap. Don't you understand how needy you women can be? Then you got a bunch of kids running around screaming and crying and everything. You don't understand what it's like. How would y'all feel if we did that? Would y'all think that the father should walk because he's under the stresses that y'all just don't understand? Y'all feel free to respond.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I'll even expound on that. So let's take other domestic violence. I'll use that as an example. Do we do enough to prevent domestic violence in this country? Absolutely not. I think we all probably could agree on that. I mean, on any issue, we can always do more, but it's a massive problem. And through my career, I think I'd say a large amount of murders stem from a domestic situation. Okay. Now, because of that, I mean, does that excuse the murder? It doesn't. The death penalty case that you were talking about that I tried, and Creston may be familiar with him, James Cobb Hutto, who killed the lady in Clinton. He was a victim of sexual abuse, and he claimed that at his trial. Now, is that horrible that he was a victim of sex? Absolutely, I hate that. Does that give him a right to murder? He murdered several elderly women, not just Miss Simpson. Did that give him a right to become basically almost a serial killer? No, it didn't. I mean, yes, it's tragic that those things happen, but I don't think that whether you have postpartum depression and the fact that we don't focus on that enough, yes, I assume we do not, but that doesn't give an excuse for you murdering your 3 children with exercise bands. And the thought process that it does really is quite disturbing, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think the same amount of, for lack of a better word, sympathy would be given if that role was reversed.
Nor should it. Let me be clear here. I'm not championing for men saying that we should get sympathy if we do stuff like that. That either, by the way. So I'm just making my point of how if I sounded asinine, it was intended to sound asinine because that's how this sounds to me when I read posts like that. Yeah. It sounds asinine.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, it really does. And I think this is one of the downsides to social media. And I haven't clicked on that page to see if we even know who the person is behind it. But it's pages like that I think are incendiary, and they're posting a very polarizing take. And I believe it is just for clicks and views, and it is just for engagement because they know that's not the right take on this thing. But there's just enough people out there. Yeah. You get a little group think. Shaun, you and I talked about it last night. Hive mind. Group think. Mm-hmm. And if one person sees something and they're like, oh, well, you know what? I was kind of thinking that, maybe, I was feeling a little sympathetic because maybe I'm a mom and I have, maybe I had a postpartum depression. So I could understand what could send a woman over the edge like that. I'm going to be a little more sympathetic. No. Again, she killed 3 kids. You can be as sympathetic to her having depression or being overprescribed, whatever. But it's got to stop at she killed 3 kids.
Yeah, I think those are 2 separate and individual things. She was having issues, sure, and she was over-medicated, more than likely.
Sure.
I'm saying that's a distinct possibility. But the taking the life of her children and her being depressed and over medicated, I think is two separate issues.
Shaun?
I did read a analysis, I think it was in Wired magazine, I can't remember, about this kind of phenomenon. It kind of tacks off what you're saying, Clay, like that apparently the ones that are the women that are, or the people in general that are blaming Patrick Clancy, but particularly the women in general, it's because they've turned these trials into like to movies almost, or they take on like one of the participants is a character. And so like Lindsay Clancy is a character that represents a lot of women's angst. What I was reading, like postpartum depression, maybe being neglected, or supposedly, I don't even know if that's true, neglected by their husband. It didn't seem from what I've read that he was neglectful. The guy set up another bank account so she could have money because she couldn't work because of this, and got a nanny. He did a lot of these things people aren't talking about. Sounds like a pretty good husband to me on that regard, but that's not what you hear on the internet. So I think there's a lot of people that identified with her, so they take on her as their character. And then of course, there's people that will, take on another party in these trials, and they focus their lot that these characters represent their own life. So if Lindsay Clancy loses, that means they're losing, which is, by the way, absolutely crazy and ridiculous. That it's kind of like we were kids and we used to like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. Now, just because Rocky lost a fight, I didn't lose my mind, because it's a movie. It's not real life. Now, this is real life, but you're not involved in Lindsay Clancy's trial. Like, you're just watching it on the internet. That isn't your life.
All right. To that, we got to take a break here. To that, I can all roads lead back to the Nolan Wells case and the comparisons. I believe that is the same exact thing that is going on with Carmelo Anthony over there in Texas, and I believe it's the same thing that's going on with the Nolan Wells case. There's a lot of people out in the audience or on the line that see themselves in Nolan Wells, or as I've been saying, they have like this fetish with being the victims of racism or oppression, and they see them living vicariously through these people. Like living vicariously through Lindsay Clancy, living vicariously through Nolan Wells' mother, living vicariously through Carmelo Anthony over there in Texas. And you made a great point. A win for them is a win for them. A loss for them is a loss for them. So that makes a lot of sense when you paint it like that. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Shaun Yurtkuran and Creston Berch are my guests. Rip the knob off if you're watching online. If rip the knob off if you're listening on the radio, and if you're watching on the internet on the Mazda Jackson live stream, please drop a like button. Hit the like button and drop a comment, just a thumbs up, thumbs down. You can tell me to go kick it where the sun don't shine. Comment is a comment, and it all works the same. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. Hey, tonight, big night at Martin's downtown. You've got Nirvana, the Nirvana Tribute Band, live tonight. And, man, I saw the flyer. I just shared it on my Facebook. You can go see it on Martin's downtown Facebook page. And these guys in this band, Nirvana, look just like the guys in Nirvana. I mean, they nailed it. It should be a great show. I know Shaun here was talking about going tonight at one point. Not sure if he still is, but going to be a good one. Shaun, you still planning to go see the Nirvana Tribute Band tonight at Martin's?
I bought my tickets 3 days ago. Yes. So, yeah, I'm going.
Awesome, man. Look, if you want to, even if you weren't the biggest Nirvana fan, I just think a great night of 90s nostalgia will be fun. I think you'll see some grown folks there. It should be a big Gen X shindig at Martin's tonight, and a lot of Gen X hangovers tomorrow. So you got that going on downtown. Should be a blast. If you're looking for something to eat today, if you're going to be at downtown Jackson or out towards Livingston, swing by either Martin's location and check out the fried chicken. That's the Blue Plate special of the day. Of course, the full menu is available. I've got it right here real quick. My non-Blue Plate Martin's pick of the day is we're going to go with Shaun's go-to every time he goes to Martin's, at least when he's on his diet, the grilled chicken tenders. And, man, they are not – you go to so many places and the grilled chicken, the grilled white meat chicken's always dry. not at Martin's. It's almost like they pour juice on it after they get done cooking it when they put it on the plate because it is so juicy. And I know some people don't like this word, but moist. It's moist, and it's so delicious. And that is my pick of the day there at Martin's. If you're on something a little healthier, you don't want to do the fried food or something not too heavy, the grilled chicken strips with your choice of whatever sides you want. They got a huge selection of sides available, like 10 or 12 that you can get every day. So that's your non-blue plate special of the day, or pick of the day is the grilled chicken tenders, or the fried chicken is the blue plate special of the day. And then you got the Nirvana tribute band tonight, Nirvana. They go on stage, or the doors open at, I just had it pulled up here real quick just because, well, it's already disappeared. Yep. Well, just figure doors open around 8 or 9 for the doors. Doors are always open down there, but the ticketed doors open at like 8, I think, for the Nirvana thing. And they got a couple guys playing live too. I think up on the patio or up front or whatever, just some kind of free entertainment. So going to be a good time tonight at Martin's. I wish I could go, and heck, I may actually end up there. I'm not sure, but we'll figure all that out. All right, Shaun Yurtkuran, onetextlaw.com. If you do a little fafo in the night and you don't listen to us grown-ups here, and you do drink and drive, and you don't kill anybody or yourself, and you are lucky enough just to get a DUI, reach out to our friend. And God forbid if you do hurt somebody and you don't die in the process, and you need an attorney to mitigate your bad decision making, reach out to Shaun either way at onetextlaw.com, onetextlaw.com, the number or the spelling, and let Shaun try to un-F your FOing, or should I say your FAing. Try not to cuss here. You know what I mean? Don't mess around, and if you do, reach out to Shaun Yurtkuran at onetextlaw.com. Shaun, let's just finish the conversation on Lindsay. What do you think is going to happen with the jury?
Yep.
If you were to bet on Cal-Sci or whatever, have you even looked at the odds?
No, I've not even looked at it yet. Actually, I might go bet on it today. That's a great idea. I'm glad you told me that. That'll be fun.
What are you going to?
I'm going to say I think it's going to hang up. I think it's going to be a hung jury. That's my best guess.
Yep.
Yeah, mine too. That's what I was going to say as well. I think you got to. Well, let's say okay. Let's have an alternate. If not hung, what would be your option?
Guilty of first degree murder. I'm going to say that. I think. Yeah. I don't know that they're going to. I think the problem, which again with the internet, you wouldn't see it, but if you look at it, the planning of the murder is going to stick with some people, and here's why I know that. Because everybody you talk to, like you meet, will always say, "Oh, premeditated murder." That's kind of like a general thing the public knows about, even though that's not really what the law is. There's no. I mean, in Mississippi, we have what's called deliberate design murder. So you don't have this. When people think premeditation, they think like this long plan. But here, there was kind of a plan that the prosecution had proven. So it kind of fits in that box of things that people already believe. And I think that hurdle's going to be hard for the defense to get past by basing that she was, mentally ill at the time. Because they'd be like, well, were you mentally ill when you were planning this out? I mean, did you not did this just extended to all of that? And then if you put in the other little pieces about, she was out playing with the kids, she seemed fine, all that stuff, it just doesn't fit to what I think the public perceives as an insanity. Because they think like insane is in the moment of the act, not as like you've been planning this out for a minute. So I think that's a hard hurdle. So that would be my secondary choice. And that may be that may be what happens. They may actually just convict her of first degree murder. I mean, I know I probably would, just based on what I've seen. I mean, I think, you murdered your 3 children with exercise bands and you planned it out. I have a hard time buying the insanity defense, considering the state had an expert too that countered that. Based on that. So I would have a hard time buying that. But so that's what I would say. So I'm kind of actually stuck between hung jury and guilty of first degree murder. I'm kind of in between that.
Real quick, Creston, you?
I'm with Shaun on this. With the pre-planning on this thing, I think they go with the full meal deal, as they would say.
You know what? Y'all have quasi changed my mind, but I still think with the 9 women on the jury and just kind of what I'm seeing online, I would not be surprised if manslaughter was an option, right?
Yes.
The either hung or manslaughter.
Yes, that could happen.
But I hope y'all are right. Let me just say, I hope we get a first degree murder here. on this, and because you don't want precedents being set that women can go and kill their kids and just get off, or manslaughter. You want precedent to even be set in a deep blue state like Massachusetts that if you do this and you kill kids, that you pay the ultimate price for that. And in some states, that would be the death penalty. But I don't think they have the death penalty there in Massachusetts. And I don't think she's up for – they're not going for the death penalty anyway, I don't guess. But, yeah, I say hung jury or the manslaughter criminal, the crazy house. So we shall see.
I will say this, too, speaking on the deep – I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Speaking about the deep blue state part, Massachusetts is kind of I've spent a lot of time there. It's not lit like a California like you would think. Like they vote for Republican. Mitt Romney was governor of Massachusetts. There's been several Republican senators. A lot of people in Massachusetts are not like far leftist, because you think of the Harvard crew and all that kind of stuff. But there's just there's a big blue collar contingent that lives in, because this is kind of the outskirts of Boston, even, I believe. I forget the town's name. But so there is a very large blue collar conservative population in that state that I think people are discounting that exists, that kind of view things the way I think people down south probably do. And they're seeing that as I think the way most of us see it. And that doesn't bode well for her in my
it's
mind. It's not. So it's not. This is not like this was in San Francisco or something.
Duxbury, Massachusetts. Shaun, thank you for jumping on with us today. I'm not going to hold you through the break for a 1-minute closing segment. So we appreciate you. Yep. Y'all follow Shaun on social media. Cool. Just type in Shaun Yurtkuran. Thank you, Shaun. Creston.
Have a great weekend, Shaun.
Yeah, we'll be right back to land the plane for the day here on the Clay Edwards Show. All right, guys, I'm not going to leave y'all hanging either to do the same thing, to just come back and say bye. I appreciate everybody. The shirts are on sale. The FAFO shirts still on sale at buyfafo.com. Only $10. $10 to make a holla. $10 to do the wild thing. Swing by. Grab a shirt today. The sizes are up to date on the website. If I got it on the website, it's available. If I don't, I don't. And we will update the site again soon. And I don't foresee doing $10 shirts again probably ever. But if you sign up for the email list, you may be a surprise there for you. Just go to clayedwardsshow.kit.com. That's clayedwardsshow.kit.com. And you guys will be offered specials that nobody else gets. But for now, everybody, $10 shirts while they last over at buyfafo.com. No promo code needed. And I will see y'all back here Monday.
See ya.
Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show as we land the plane for the day. We talked a lot about a podcast that Shaun and I listened to last night that I thought was really good. It's a fellow by the name of J.D. DeLay, D-E-L-A-Y. He's a former Special Forces dude. A bit over the top, which I kind of like that type of stuff. I like high energy shows. And J.D. DeLay. And you can find it over on YouTube. And the title was The Lindsay Clancy Trial or something like that. You'll see it there. It's him and another girl from up in Canada that were doing the show together. So you had a women's point of view and the man's point of view. And they share our opinion that the reaction to this is crazy. People defending this woman. I don't understand it. I really don't. But hey, to each their own. There's going to be things that I'm on the opposite side of from people that they think is crazy. How can I possibly think that way? So, we're all allowed to think how we think, and that's what makes America great, isn't it? Of course it is. You don't have to answer that. It's a rhetorical question. I apologize. I know I teased us talking about some other topics, such as another culture rodder being arrested for threatening the folks, the young innocent men in the Nolan Wells case. That's right. Another black guy has been arrested up out of Illinois for threatening Bart's family, Bart Edmiston Jr. and his family. So I think it's the fifth or sixth person now arrested, and not a single damn one of them was arrested for threatening Nolan Wells' mom. Y'all let that settle for the weekend. See you Monday.
See ya.